all. Yes. There's what's known as the Oregon State Field, the Police Officers Field Training Manual. Now there's kidnapping, first and second degree. Yes. Custodial interference. Yes. And then criminal conspiracy. Oh. And then let's see here. Gambling. Officer effectively handles civil disputes. The officer recognizes and effectively handles civil disputes in a manner consistent, yes, with agency policy and Oregon law. Ooh. Now, I just had a few minutes, yes, but I'm kind of thinking that that's really not the way that you do it, okay? Now, civil law statutes, right, sheriff's responsibilities. The sheriff understands the sheriff's responsibilities regarding the civil process. They can't provide legal advice. Now, the officer understands landlord-tenant issues, right? The eviction process, notices, summons, complaints, hearings, notice of restitution, writ of execution of judging and trespass notice, and then property disposal. Po. Now, the 3.28 is the trespass eviction enforcement. Right. 3.I, the officer understands how to enforce eviction for trespass, premise versus dwelling. Yes. Now, that would be tenant versus criminal trespass. And then it looks like you put your initials and date there if you've been trained in this. Yes. That the officer understands the difference between tenant and criminal trespass. Now, since I documented and had spoke to the actual property manager, yes, and I had informed law enforcement at one point somebody had shut the window on me. Pooh! Or, well, no, what they do, they lock the back door. Yes. Been staying there about 6 weeks. Yes, because the tenant Ron, he had a blood ulcer, and I thought he was in rehab. Pooh. Can you tell me the difference between dwelling and premises? Right, and then eviction and trespass. Now, when I email you the actual documentation, and somebody had to be a total dickhead and go back and fix their break-in because they broke the front door. Right. They broke the back door. Ouch! They broke the window. Ow! And then you decide to fix it and lock both doors and close all the windows so all my shit is in there. Now, my thought was somebody's committed another crime. Yes, they have. And after I had emailed law enforcement so many emails while I was at the library, yes, I made sure to include all the police officers. Port Angeles! Now, you have my phone number. I've included that in approximately 1 million emails. Yes. It's right here on the back of my phone. It's upside down if it's confusing to you. Yes. Now, tenant versus criminal trespass. There's an actual person that is known as the tenant. Yes, we were friends, or we still are, for 5 years. Yes, he put all his mail in there. He called me. Yes, I thought maybe he had paid the rent. Yes. And then there's the criminal trespass of any person that owns the place without trespass, eviction enforcement, then landlord-tenant issues. The officer, in Oregon State, understands landlord-tenant issues. Now, some people say, well, I was trespassing, but I've been staying there for the last 6 weeks. I made sure that you did know that I was sleeping on a hardwood floor every morning. Pooh! I had emailed you every day for the last, 2 years. Ouch! And for some reason, somebody thought I was trespassing when I had been sleeping there every fucking night. There's an eviction process, right? Then you give notice, right, and then it's summons and a complaint, which that would be the renter's responsibility. I was just staying there until he had recovered from his blood ulcer and possibly alcoholism. Yes, he might be in recovery. Yes. Then you motion the court for a hearing. Right. Then there's a notice. Right. And then a writ of execution of judgment and trespass notice. Right. Right. A writ of execution. Isn't that what sheriffs and police officers? And then there's the question of any property that might be in the place after the actual process of the eviction, the notice, the summons, the complaint, the hearing, the restitution, the writ of execution, the trespass notice, and then the property disposal. Poo, poo, poo. Now, why do I think that this DPSST May 2013 Police Officer Field Training Manual from Oregon State is probably very similar to the process of landlord-tenant issues in the state of fucking Washington right now?